is Dr. Janelle OD, your eye care expert. I'm the CEO and founder of Brain Eyes Vision Center and Premier Eye Spa. Welcome to Eye Spa Talk. We're here each Sunday, the first of the third Sunday, where we sit down and we talk about everything beauty and science related. We have a great show for you today. So, Eye Spa Talk. Eye Spa Talk is where I inspire, empower, and educate women about beauty and science, first starting with your eyes and your skin. You know, some people say your eyes and your skin can say more about you before you even open your mouth. So it's important to be educated and inspired. So today I have two powerhouse women in the eye care field today that we're going to sit down and talk about an array of things that are happening as we close out 2020. And so if you're tuning in today, as always, go ahead and share. Sharing is caring, okay? Go ahead and turn your notifications on. Create watch parties. This is great information that needs to get out to everybody who wants to be inspired, empowered, and educated on beauty and science, starting with the eyes and the skin. So we have a power duo. So it's all about girl power, but when we put our power together, oh my God, we're dynamic. So we have Charlene and Dr. Irina. I love the name, Irina. So let's tell you a little bit about the two of them first. So Dr. Irina is a recent graduate of optometry school. She went to the optometry school in Puerto Rico. She also is a freelance writer. So we're going to talk about that a little bit as well. That's an excellent skill to have when you're a doctor because you get the vlog, you get the blog, and it's easy for you to write. Those are some skills that I'm trying to perfect. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. And then we have Charlene Nichols. She She left a corporate industry related job to pursue entrepreneurship. I know you're ready to retire, huh? To pursue entrepreneurship and to hone in her passion of independent eye care. She started Sell Smart. And so the two of them came together, and we'll talk about a little bit more how they met and started My Eye Care Team. So welcome, ladies. How are you today?
Wonderful, thank you.
Good, yeah.
What a great introduction.
We try to keep
amazing energy.
All right, so we'll get right to it. So tell me how you two met. We'll start with Charlene.
You know, it's quite interesting. I always I spend a lot of time on social media, and I know you do too. So you probably know this happens a lot. You'll see a thread and you'll see someone say something. You'll be like, wow, that was really cool. I want to reach out to that person. So that's exactly what happened. Somebody was asking for help with their website, and Dr. Yakubin had, kind of said, oh, I'm an optometrist and I write and I build websites. So I was like, oh, I want to connect with her because wouldn't it be cool? And that's kind of how the whole thing started. I said, wouldn't it be cool to have an optometrist to contribute to the websites that we build? So I reached out to her and I said, hey, as a copywriter, it would be really amazing to collaborate sometime. Little did we know that collaboration would take us to where it is today, but it's been a really, really fun journey getting to know her.
Good. So Dr. Irina, tell us about your perspective on how you guys met and your journey so far.
All right. So on my end, this was, right when we were still trying to figure out graduation in the face of COVID. And I was in this place where I couldn't practice because I wasn't done with school yet. And I couldn't, there were so many doctors asking for help about COVID, help filling their offices. So I was like, this is something I can offer. I can offer content writing. This is my skill.
Definitely. A lot of doctors, and that's a skill that you went into school with. That is perfect. A lot of doctors, we don't get to use that side of our brain a lot. We're always so, rigid. And if we do write, it's more on the research base, and we don't get to use that creativity that we have. So tell us a little bit, too, before we jump in a little bit more. I always kind of like to learn your stories. How did you get into freelance writing? Is that something that you liked to do when you were younger? How did you hone in on that creativity?
Absolutely. So I actually, since I was fairly young, I wanted to write fiction. And I struggled, to write every day. So my brilliant idea was to go ahead and get a content writing gig. Mm-hmm. So it would force me to write every day, force me to develop my writing skills, and I get paid for it. Not a bad setup.
No.
So I kind of went ahead and ran with it.
Good. And so were you able to still practice writing and things like that while you were in optometry school?
Yes, absolutely. I actually wrote for optometrystudents.com as well.
Wow.
So slowly I started shifting the writing a little bit towards eye care.
So that's good.
Instead of just doing everything.
perfect. So like, yeah, coming out, then you'll have a dual way to kind of brand yourself, number one, and number two, to be able to have some access to extra income. I always believe in diversifying your income. And so, Charlene, you and I talked one day. We had a conversation on Zoom. I think we wore Zoom out that day, getting to know each other. I met Charlene just like everybody else on social media. Do not underestimate the power of social media, especially LinkedIn. I've met so many great women on LinkedIn in this eye care space who are so willing to help and get to know each other. And so, Charlene, tell me a little bit about your start in the eye care field and how you shifted into this passion that you both have for independent optometry.
Well, I love that you talk about, I'm going to try to tell this without getting choked up, but I love that you talk about empowering women, because when I started my career, I was really young. People know I use this number a lot, 24, almost 25 years. So let's just say I was 10 when I started, or somewhere thereabouts. But I was very young and I was very green. I didn't really know a lot I didn't really have like an industry background. My first job was working for OptiSource. So I provided consumables to eye doctors. I was the person calling you, talking to you about your supplies. And it was a sales driven business. So we had a lot of goals and we had things we had to do. And I was one of those people who it frustrated me when I would speak to my customers and I didn't really understand a lot of what they were talking about. I felt if I'm going to be calling you and providing you with things to help you run your business, I have to truly understand what you're going through. And one of the things that all my sales colleagues hated me for this. I said I want to do a crash course in opticianry. And they taught us about like how to come up with the diopters and different measurements. And it was really fascinating to me. But there was a woman there. Her name was Wendy. She's no longer with us, unfortunately. But she took me under her wing and she taught me a lot about the industry. And I just became very passionate and just fell in love with it. And, I've kind of been that way, since it started. I mean, being in the lab section, the lens section, visiting these labs and seeing how they set up their filtration systems and learning about anti-reflective coatings. And, I go way back in the day when 90% of the labs out there were all independently owned. I knew these people and they were all very like this. This is a time when the industry was very much camaraderie based. Everyone knew everyone. They were all very supportive. It was like a friendly, competitive atmosphere. And I don't know. I guess a lot of people talk about the good old days. So I do kind of remember that. And it was where I got started and it just created a love for it.
Yeah. So independent optometry is important. I've been in the field now practicing 14 years. And then if you include the time in school, I'm going on 20 years in the field. And before I got into school, I did work in a private setting, small offices for several doctors in my hometown. And independency in optometry is kind of equivalent to your mom and pop stores across the country. Mm-hmm. Those are important. And any small businesses we know really is what keeps America afloat. I mean, we got to have our big things, but at the same time, those small private offices, independent offices, those same people you eat with, you play with in the community, is important to have. And so that your guys' passion for independent optometry is important, because us doctors or us independent doctors alone, we can't keep our thing afloat. We need to have that network of other industry leaders who want to see independent optometry thrive and survive. And so because of that, I think you guys started something called My Eye Care Team. So tell me a little bit about My Eye Care Team and how it helps to benefit independent optometry in their patients.
Well, we'll talk a little bit later about my vision show, and that was the first project that Dr. Yakubin and I had worked on. And part of that show is promoting vendors. We are a very vendor-focused show, whereas most other shows are more about the content and the education. We really wanted to highlight independent vendors and manufacturers that just never really got the right type of voice. And I think a lot of manufacturers and distributors started to see that. So we started to get sought after by some of these brands. And it became evident to me that a lot of these brands needed more representation than what they were getting through their current sales channels. So I talked to Dr. Yakubin and I said, look, this is a really good opportunity for you to develop more of a peer-reviewed, product-based approach. And, Dr. Yakubin, I'll pass that over to you to kind of talk about how we took that idea and evolved it.
So what we've done is set up a doctor panel. So we have a panel of optometrists, and that's probably going to grow as we get new products, for optical or whatnot. But right now, it's optometrists who will look at the product, check out the studies, check out the research, and present that information to other optometrists. So it's not marketer to provider; it's actually provider to provider communication.
That's important. So they look at new products and things that hit the market and kind of give like a peer-reviewed assessment of the products, but not maybe in the article setting, because we're used to having peer-reviewed articles and research. But I definitely think that's important because most doctors, as we're finding new products to bring into our practices to offer our patients, a lot of time we're asking for references. We're calling doctors and say, hey, do you use this? Or does anybody in your office use this? And so that approach is really, really important because we've got to read the articles for certain things, but to get our hands on it or know someone has had their hands on it and tried it and used it and can tell us how these products actually work and benefit the practice is I think a great approach to take. Before we jump down to my vision show, I know you guys have a specific product that you guys are kind of in that peer review state. It's the dry eye doctor. So I'll toss it to you guys to let me know what that product is, how it's beneficial to patients, why doctors should have it in their practice, and kind of what makes it different than some of the other products that are on the market.
Well, I had experience with this product in my past profession. And the manufacturer had such great success, with the results that we had. And I sold it the same way back then. I educated eye doctors. It was really big at that point. One of my biggest accounts was Vision Source. So I got to go to the exchange. I got to show the product. I got to hear these leaders in the industry, look at this little table at the Vision Source exchange and say, wow, this is an amazing product. We've been selling the Brooder or, something else. And it's just, they even back then they were shocked that things existed they didn't know about. It's amazing how much you don't know. So when they came to me, I said, okay, I want to be able to do this, but I had a lot on my plate. That's when Dr. Yakubin and I came up with my eye care approach. And then when we dug into it, one of the first things that Dr. Yakubin said is she wanted to make sure that the product was ethically manufactured. And we did some deep research into the R&D that they did on this product and the development. The person who developed it actually is a woman. She developed it with her 2 sons several years ago. She's from the UK. She's received the prestigious Queen's Award for Innovation. They went to the castle and were, presented an award from the Queen because she really put a lot of money into the research and development of this product to make sure it was safe and sterile. And some of the things that you'll find out as an eye care provider are pretty stunning that you don't know when it comes to the options that are out there and how much they leave on the table when it comes to a need for sterilization. And I'll toss that one over to Dr. Yakubin.
Yes, actually, one of the reasons I sort of bonded with this product almost immediately is because it offers sterilized technology. So not only does the mask come in a case that's washable, but the lining of this little case is imbued with sterilized technology, so it's antimicrobial.
In this day and age, antimicrobial is important. It's always important, but I think the COVID era has heightened everybody's awareness of sterilization and how we're going to approach things post a COVID era. I know I've changed a lot of things in my practice, and some of the things that we're doing, weren't necessarily requirements. And we're kind of like, you know what? This is something we need to continue to do post-COVID. So it's great. And so just so our viewers understand, they're talking about a warm compress mask, right? Which is very important in managing ocular surface disease. So any doctors that are listening on here, if you manage dry eye, meibomian gland dysfunction, or ocular surface issues, you've got to have a resource for patients to be able to do their home therapy, is what I call it. There's going to be some work that patients are going to need to do to help us reach those outcomes. And so this mask is kind of like I I won't say a competitor to a very known mask on the market. There's numerous masks on the market, but what we learn as optometrists, sometimes we don't know about everything that's out there, and we don't do our due diligence to research everything. We just take some things at face value if we see it at a show, but don't go look and see what other competitors are out there. We are getting some questions running in, so I don't want to go over these questions without missing them. Someone said, what other products are offered with the dry eye doctor other than masks? Are there any nutraceuticals that are offered, or are we only specifically talking about the warm compress mask?
Well, it's very interesting you should ask this. So first of all, the founder of the dry eye doctor I mentioned is a woman, Sue Grant. They actually have not necessarily dry eye, but they have an antimicrobial face mask, which is kind of interesting. They do have some tea tree oil wipes, and we don't know as much of those products. We wanted to start with the mask because we are using our advocacy position with my eye care team to raise awareness to mask-associated dry eye disease, as well as the fact that by overusing computers, we believe there's going to be an epidemic and an increase in people, not just in getting dry eye, but I've done this several times myself, where you've got sanitizer all over your hands and then you rub your face. You know, you're getting alcohol in your eyes. It's happened to me twice this week. So I think providing this as a preventative, you don't have to have something as severe as dry eye disease or blepharitis for this to be important. You can be a single or working mother who has a bad day, and this could be an amazing treat at the end of the day. The product is pretty incredible. But as far as other products, what I love about the network we have, both through my eye care team, as well as through the amazing vendors we work through with My Vision Show, and we have some other channels we're working with that are more lab related, is there really isn't many products that we wouldn't be able to provide access to. And because, with my extensive background in the industry, 24 years of already doing research into who these companies are and where they come from, and Dr. Yakubin taking this ethically manufactured approach, we're able to really give real information, not just from a bias, but, take it or leave it. These are the facts. And I think for a lot of doctors, this is a great value right now because we don't have the shows to go to take the 4 days off to gain this information. So having somebody who you can hopefully gain some trust and get to know and see that they stand by what they promise, I think could be a great value to a lot of people trying to make educated decisions.
Yeah, and Charlene made a great point of talking about mask-associated dry eye. We know that ocular surface issues and discomfort is up based on the mask that we're wearing, and there's even research and articles that are out talking about what may be causing some of the underlying escalation in dry eye secondary to the mask. But you're right, you don't have to wait till you have a problem. The mask is what I teach my patients. It's an easy way to keep those oil glands open nightly. You want to think of it as almost as brushing and flossing your teeth. You have a routine. I said there was a time where everybody would lose their teeth. People would just walk around with no teeth. But then somebody was smart enough to say, you know what, maybe we should brush some of this debris off our teeth and our mouth throughout the day. And now we have a way to maintain our oral health, and the eye is no exception. I'm seeing some more questions coming in. They want to learn more about the eye care team. So someone wants to know more about my eye care team. You said it's an advocacy and kind of peer-reviewed panel. Is the panel made of just doctors or industry leaders? So opticians, doctors, people that work at different vendors and manufacturers. Who makes up this eye care team?
So and I'll toss this over to Dr. Yakubin, but I just want to clarify, my eye care team is strictly focused on optometry related products. We do have another division that we work with called the Independent Owners Network. We're really excited. We're going to have 3 new individuals joining us this week that have extensive backgrounds. One of them formerly was a director of member services for Vision Source. They are consultants on the lab and lens side, but for my eye care team, it's Dr. Yakubin.
So the panel at this time is only optometrists. If we have other people interested or if we have a need, we'll definitely expand.
And so I have an optometrist who follows us, Dr. Justin. She is awesome. She is the founder of Optometry Divas. So we all love Dr. Justin, and happy birthday. She's been celebrating her birthday all this weekend. Hey. It must be a big birthday because I've seen on Facebook how her staff treated her like a queen. And so we'll find out. I don't know the exact numbers. Maybe she's turning 25. Wink, wink. We all stop at 25. But she wants to know, how does she get access to the eye care team? Is this something that you guys have already picked their doctors who are on that panel? Or if we're looking at products, is this something that we should reference to you guys to say, hey, has this something been reviewed by your panel? How does it work, and how do we get access to it?
So we're actually all over social media. We're my eye care team on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. So that is a great way to reach us.
And one thing we haven't clarified yet, that's a really big, important reason why we formed my eye care team as a separate division from some of the other things we're doing, is those social media channels are designed to be a universal place. So if you're not Dr. Janelle and you're not Dr. Justin, and you haven't yet figured out how to live stream and Facebook and build groups to communicate with large groups of your patient base, and you're doing one-on-one patient education, let's face it, I mean, those opportunities are not as easy to come by because you're busy. You really don't want to sit here and go into a 45-minute explanation of how to use a mask.
What was that again?
What's really amazing is that you and the goal is eventually to get to the point where you as an eye doctor could say, yeah, just follow my eye care team, because you'll know that they're sharing information that you can stand behind. And most importantly, they're offering products that they can only find through you, because the goal is to make sure through this ethical journey of really vetting these vendors that they do not try to sell direct above and beyond the eye doctor's direct to consumer, that they maintain the integrity of that patient provider relationship and make sure if they're buying those products, they're buying them through you and under your supervision.
And so I have a question I'll ask Dr. Irina as well that kind of piggybacks off of that, being a little bit of devil's advocate. So, the world is going to where I want it fast, I want it now. And if I read on Google, why do I have to consult with my doctor? Why is it something that I only have to get through a doctor? What is the benefit for patients who are listening? I have a lot of doctors, a lot of patients who listen to this show, of working with your eye care professional for different treatment options and products, even over-the-counter products and supplements and things like that. Why is it important for patients to be properly educated and have a safe space to go to so that they're still working with their eye doctor, but maybe feeling like they're doing their own thing? Because I like the concept of, this whole social media platform to be able to direct patients there to get the knowledge that they need and purchase products. But how do you kind of answer those people or patients that say, well, why do I have to do that? Why can't I just go find it on my own?
It is very tempting to go to Dr. Google, but I think this is something that the medical industry is struggling with as a whole. So I'm hoping that by creating a cohesive, easily accessible patient education platform across the social networks and, online, it'll be something that patients actually go to encourage that doctor-patient relationship. Because I think also because patient education in the office can be so challenging, and we're rushed to, clean for the next patient, we're rushed to see the next patient. It also gives doctors a place to say, hey, go ahead and go on here, and this has the good information. And I've had patients ask me that too. I've been practicing for just, a month or so. Not even 2 weeks. Because I got my California license a little while ago, and I've already had to, send people online because I gave them the patient education and their eyes glazed over.
Yeah. After about 30 seconds, they're like,
yeah.
And so, I think this is a really good concept. I hope more industry people and doctors get behind it, because it's important for patients to have somewhere to go and to kind of break down the information that they've just heard in a place that they're comfortable, in their home, on their phone, and on their couch, and feel confident that the information they're getting is something that their doctors will recommend and stand by. So I think this is a really great concept, and I can't wait to see how this grows within the industry. And I think this is a great time now for this to kind of hit the market, because everybody's in tune to technology. My 70-year-old parents, they're learning technology. They're having to do a lot more things that are tech-based than they had to do, let's say, 10 months ago because of COVID. But those are skills that we'll still have past this COVID era, and we're going to be looking for valuable resources that we can trust. And so this is going to take us a little bit into, I'm just trying to see if we have any questions here. So someone says they love the concept of the eye care team to reinforce treatment that doctors have prescribed. And I think we're looking forward to that. And like Mary is saying, thanks for joining us, Mary and Dr. Justin. And we have a few other guests on here. Is that patients want to know that they're connected with their doctors even though they're not in the exam room. And doctors want to be able to connect with patients outside the exam room. And I think the more that the eye care field works on universal education and having the same speech, the same script, then it'll be easier for patients to understand concepts. Just like when you're in practice and you're having your staff and you're bringing something new, you create a script because you don't want anybody saying something that's just like, yeah, that's not quite how we're doing it. So we create a script. So that way, if we can have a script, something that we all buy into, that we all believe in, and we know is peer reviewed, then we'll feel comfortable you saying, hey, yeah, go visit my eye care team and get some more information on keratoconus, or get some more information on this product that we have for sale here in the office, or that we can put you in a portal to get. So let's talk about my vision show. I'm excited. If you doctors are on here listening, you've probably seen some information come across on, I think it was Vision Monday.
Yeah, actually, we've been on several of the leading publications. We're so excited they finally ran the story. We sent them the press release. All 3 shows. This is finally, they picked it up. Dr. Yakubin wrote it, so maybe because it was coming from an optometrist, they finally ran the story. But yeah, this is our 4th show this year.
So let's talk about the My Vision show. So tell me how it got started. You said this is your 4th show, and now it seems like it's really taking the root into the industry. And so what's the benefit of it? How can doctors find out about it? How do they get signed up? Just give us the whole tea on the My Vision show.
I love it. Spill the tea.
Spill the tea.
The same need that created the idea of my eye care team is the same need that started the need for my vision show. When I did that climb over the fence, like you mentioned at the beginning of the conversation, Dr. Janelle, where I said that I decided, okay, I want to join the independent force and step away from corporate America. The first thing I did was I kind of did a research and, okay, well, what's here? What are the resources that are here? What can I do to provide value? And fortunately, because as most of you who know me, I like to dig in. There was tons to dig in there, too much actually. And what I found is there were amazing, amazing products and people and ideas and philosophies that just did not have the right platform. A lot of them were my own ideas, my own products that I created that I knew were fitting a really big need, and I just couldn't get in front of enough people. And I kept thinking about Vision Expo. I would go there every year. I've been to 3 a year for the last 24 years. That's over 100. So I've been over several hundred. So I know how it goes. And I remember people looking at me, hearing me pitch a product that I told them about like easily 4 or 5 times during the course of the year, and looking at me like it was the best thing they'd ever heard in the world, like they'd never heard of it before. And I thought, wow, what if we could recreate the experience of like a Vision Expo or another trade show virtually, and give these brands, these independent brands, a platform where there's no like really big vendors that can control the conversation. Everyone's on an equal playing field. And really the more attention you get is based on how much you put in. And the first show was a little mild. Nobody really paid much attention to it. It was right before the end of the year. People were all excited about Vision Expo coming, and they really thought, okay, why do I need this? I'm going to go to Italy or New York. And then COVID happened. And I had no clue that COVID was going to happen before founding my vision show. But when the new year came, I was bunkered down like everyone else for 90 days. And I had nothing better to do. And I literally didn't sleep for those 3 months. I built this and imagined it and dreamed it and breathed it into life. And meeting Dr. Yakubin and doing the last show with her was just amazing, because it really brought a whole new life to it. And I think it brought a whole new layer of credibility. I think, and I'm sure you can speak to this as an optometrist, Dr. Janelle, I think optometrists are more willing to embrace something if they feel like another eye care professional has looked at it, kind of snuffed it out and said, yeah, this is good. So she's really, I'll let her speak to that.
Yeah, so the day I met Charlene, she told me about my vision show and what it stands for. And I have a lot of love for independent optometry. And I wanted to start my private practice, one day. I was hoping to work and experience and then go ahead and go private. And as soon as I heard about my vision show and that mission, I was all in. I was like, yes, I will do what you need to help you.
And so, as private doctors that are listening here, give us the dates. Where are the dates, and how is there a cost, and where can doctors sign up, and what should they expect to experience during the My Vision show?
So the show will be December 4th, 5th, and 6th, and it is $10, but we are doing an early pre-registration. And actually, if anybody listening right now wants to go, we're going to let them go for free.
Okay, is there a site that
so just
here?
So just mention in the notes when you pre-register on myvisionshow.com that you've heard it here at Dr. Janelle Show.
And just to cut, go ahead.
For students, I believe it will be $5, but again, same offer. If they tell us that they heard about it on your show, Dr. Janelle, we will let them attend for free.
Free. You guys can save that $10. Go get you some lunch. The students, I know students. I was broke too. Still paying on my student loan. Better save the $5. Go ahead and mention iSpot Talk or Dr. Janelle's show. This is on the weekend, so even if you work, our phones allow us to be everywhere at one time, so that way you guys don't miss out on this valuable information. And so, Charlene, during the show, what can the attendees expect to experience?
We've put a lot of work over the last 3 shows to tailor the experience to be very similar to what you would expect from a traditional show like a Vision Expo. And just like when you go to these shows that are bigger, they're broken up into sections. So if you are looking to, put a lab into your office, you can go into the lab section. For us, that experience is called the factory. So that's a separate experience within my Vision show that is totally lab related. So even if you're not looking to put a lab in, you just want to understand lens technology a little better, and you want to speak with independent lab owners, there's a high level of interactivity with this. One of our favorite elements is the Eyewear Art Walk. It was so successful, the virtual event. They're now going live nationally. Like, they are renting out suites just like they do at the Loft in cities. They're coming to you. Obviously, you guys can't come to them, so they're coming to you. They're starting in Sarasota this week. These are independent couture frame lines. I've spoken to some of the top leaders in this industry that were flabbergasted that they did not know these lines. You should know them. These people are just, you want to know what the heart of the industry looks like? Go speak to one of these people. Most of them have been around for 30, 40 years. Most of their frames are handmade. They are all in, 100% invested in independence. But, you're going to have to do your research to find these types of brands. They're not going to be offered through your Marchand rep or your Luxottica rep. These are, entrepreneurs just like you. So
they're going to be at this art walk?
Yes. So the Eyewear Art Walk, the physical one, actually, if you go to the eyewearartwalk.com, you can see the dates. But if you can't make it on my Vision show, one of our experiences is the Eyewear Art Walk, which is literally a virtual museum. So you can go through this exhibit. It's pretty big, and you could see eyewear represented alongside art that is designed by opticians. This is literal paintings from an independent artist that is an optician. It's just a unique way to kind of experience the art-centric section of our industry.
Yeah, that's amazing. And myself having a smaller boutique, kind of changing my optical experience in my office. We're always looking for independent lines, and they're so hard to come by. I'm in these different Facebook, groups that not come by, but to know about them, because they're like everybody else, like me. We're smaller. We have a select base of people. We have a certain amount of money we can spend, and just because we can't get our face on everything doesn't mean that we can't provide a good experience or very, very quality product. So I think this is amazing. So this kind of leads me into, why are you guys so passionate about independent eye care and independent optometry? Why is it important to you guys?
All right, so actually, before I jump into that, do you mind if I talk about my Vision show for just a little bit more, because there's something I really, really was excited to share. So for this My Vision show, we're going to have an interprofessional panel. of professionals in the eye care industry, including optometry, including opticians, including techs. And I think that is so extremely important because we're getting a little bit segmented, and I don't think it's a good idea. Like optometrists are trying to stick with optometrists, opticians are trying to stick with opticians. We're not, like, we shouldn't be forming these little cliques. We should be cohesive. We should be helping each other out. So I'm hoping that this panel starts that conversation.
Definitely. Teamwork makes the dream work is what I say in my office. So we all work as a team, and remember our ultimate goal is to help our patients, to serve our patients, and to create an experience where they now feel safe, feel valued, and feel that we are going to be able to provide a solution to their issue. So yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm excited about this whole thing, and I'm just glad that you guys decided to join me today. And so we're going to talk about why you guys love independent optometry, and then we're going to recap on the dry eye doctor, just so all the patients know exactly what it is, how they can find it, and what questions they need to be asking their eye care provider so they can get their hands on that dry eye doctor mask. So why do you guys care so much about independent optometry?
Charlene, do you want to go first?
Sure. I always tell this story. When I was 29, I was a single mother in Long Island. I don't know if any of you have looked at the cost of houses here, but it's not cheap. And I was handed the keys to my first home at 29. I worked really hard for that. And by working really hard, what that meant was speaking to people like you, Dr. Janelle, and people like a lot of the individuals listening to this phone call every day, 40 to 50 of you a day, working my rear end off to take care of you. And I believe as a salesperson, if you're going to sell something, you got to believe in it. You got to be really able to deliver what you're promising. And I watched the independent segment of the industry literally erode from within, being in my position for as long as I had. Watching the wholesale labs dwindle down to, 20% of what it used to be. Watching the top chains do it. I mean, you look at the Vision Monday Top 50, and I encourage everyone to do this because you can find it online. Go pull up a list from 15 years ago and tell me how many of those are still standing today. Why? I mean, they've been consolidated. And it just got to a point where I was, approaching my 40th birthday, and I said, you know what? This is not the next 20 years of my life. I'd rather use my talents to help independents in a way where I can be in control of what that looks like. And I didn't honestly know nearly as much as I thought I did until I climbed over the fence and got down in the trenches. And it was heartbreaking. I'm going to be honest with you. So why am I passionate about independent optometry? Because you guys deserve to have the same tools as these bigger companies do. Because someday my kids, they're going to need an eye doctor. And I want them to be able to choose whether they want to go to a corporate optometrist or go to an independent optometrist. And I'll probably lean them towards the latter because I know you're going to take the time to make sure you don't miss something critical, like my daughter who has amblyopia and was legally blind at the age of 8. And I didn't know it because I was a busy mom and I was going to, Sears to get her glasses because I could barely afford it. And thankfully, I had a friend who was an independent optometrist. I would have never known. So I could tell you a million other anecdotes like that, but that's kind of the fundamental core of your question.
Dr. Irina?
So for me, it is also personal because this is something, I would like to go into. I'd like to be an independent optometrist one day. But also just seeing that shift towards corporate, and it's not terrible. I think there's a place for corporate and there's a place for independence. As long as we learn to play nice and coexist, we'll be completely fine. But I also just want to be able to, care for my patients and make those care decisions not based off what, I'm being told by somebody else. And not have to worry about, somebody like a corporation telling me, hey, you have to see this many patients, or hey, you're expected to, recommend X, Y, and Z brand. And I know a lot of optometrists are balking against that right now because certain companies have started to push optometrists to recommend, their products.
Yeah, that's a tough part. I can say I've worked both. I grew up getting eye exams, and when I grew up at the time, corporate wasn't big. Because either you're in a clinic, or you're in a private setting. And I wore glasses. I went every year. And I started off in corporate, not really knowing what corporate was or what it was about. Any doctors listening, I do not want to bash you and, think you're a bad doctor in corporate, but, corporate wasn't for me. And a lot of it, unfortunately, we don't like to talk about it, but a lot of these corporate settings, not all of them, but a lot of them do try to dictate to the doctors what they should and should not do. And then sometimes as a new grad, and that's how I started in corporate, you don't kind of know what your rights are. You're still trying to figure out this whole career space, and you need the job. And so you kind of get stuck into a spot. And if we don't protect our private optometry settings, then you won't have an option. Not everybody wants to start their own practice, but we just want to have options. So like she said, as long as we can coexist, play nice, and we have options available for these new grads that are coming out, like Dr. Irina. She's only in this career space now. She's still excited and loving optometry for about a month or two now, and so we want to make sure that she has those opportunities, and if she decides to start her own practice, that she has the tools that she needs to be successful in some of these arenas where we're competing against these corporations that could spend millions and billions on marketing and different products and branding and private labeling, where smaller optometry offices, as I say, are mom and pops. We can't necessarily do that, but patients want us to be around as well. So that's very important. And I appreciate you guys. I know any doctors that are listening here, whether they're corporate or private, they appreciate the initiative that you guys are taking to try to find that common ground for all of us to get on, so that way we can make sure that optometry as a whole exists and not have a lot of people coming into our industry who see an opportunity to make money. And that's where a lot of these corporations are coming in, and doctors get in certain spots that they don't know how to get out of, and they recognize that this corporation may not have the same views and values they have about protecting and serving patients. And so with that, when we close out, I do want to just recap what the eye doctor mask is, how they can find it, and the fact that it's antimicrobial, which is very important in this era that we're in now. Any way that we can stay safe and maintaining our health is important. So let's recap on that, and then tell them where they can get it, or doctors where they can purchase it, so that way they can have it to offer to their patients.
I'm actually entering some links into the chat. I don't know if they're going into your feed.
Yeah, you can do it, and then if you want, you can send it later. I'll be able to put it in. If you tell me, I can in there as well. But any comments should show up.
And currently, you can go to social media to, if you go into Instagram and just search for My Eye Care Team or My Vision Show, we kind of share content on both channels. Or just go to My Vision Show, and there will be a booth for the My Eye Care Team, and you can, by then we'll be even further developed and have more. We're working on a website right now, but it is a brand new concept. It's a brand new program. We do expect, as more optometrists embrace it, that it will grow.
Yeah, so embrace change. And Dr. Irina, you have any last words for the viewers, or anywhere they can look? Or if they're looking for someone to help write for them, where can they contact you?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, my social media is Irina Yakubin, and I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn. And so is my eye care team, and so is My Vision Show. So if anybody has questions, wants to place an order, wants to have a follow-up conversation, please reach out. Either through my eye care team or My Vision Show or my personal social media channels.
And so once again, this is iSpot Talk. This is Dr. Janelle OD, your eye care expert, the CEO and founder of Brina's Vision Center and Premier iSpa. And today I have these two awesome ladies here with me talking about independent optometry, talking about my eye care team, and then for patients, we're talking about the Dry Eye Doctor, which is a special mask that helps you keep your oil glands open, which you don't want to wait till you start to have symptoms. You want to be preventive, especially with the whirlwind now. We're on the computer so long, causing our eyes to be dry, as well as we're wearing our mask all day, and we're getting what's called MAID, mask associated dry eye. Yes, it is a thing. So if your eyes have been flaring up, come visit me if you're in Atlanta area, or find an eye care professional who specializes in dry eye. Dr. Irina, thank you and good luck. I'm excited for you. I'm an oldie now. You're still excited. You can see a lot of patients without not having to take a deep breath and get some water and rest at the desk like I have to do. So I encourage you, and I'm glad that you chose optometry, and it's really a great field. And Charlene, I am glad that you are starting your entrepreneurship journey or further in that journey to help eye care professionals in this space. The more that we have people on the same page, the better that we can be for our patients and create those platforms and their experiences that they should have, and keep independent optometry alive. All right, so we're going to sign off. You guys going to be here next week with me. Next week it's going to be me by myself, but guess what? I am going to be doing a special demonstration of Upneek, which is a special drop that helps with a droopy lid, blepharostosis. I have a droopy lid, and so we're going to see how well it actually works, and we're going to talk about the benefits of Upneek. So tune in next Sunday at 7 p.m. And thank you too for joining us today. I hope you guys learned something. You can always reach me at eyecare@drjanelleod.com if you have any further questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice to join you. Bye-bye.
Bye, ladies.